I have no hand in Francis Ngannou's career, but I find myself inserting myself in his business more often than I insert myself in anyone else's business. Why is that? Now, when I talk about Francis, and a number of times it's critically, you're doing this wrong. I look at Francis with an envy. I envy a position that he's in, and I envy where he's going, in that order. I do not envy what he's already done. By example, when I look at Francis, I never think, oh, I wish I came over and I wish I got this start and I wish I came up through the... Man, I'm looking at where he's going and it's incredible and I think it's unique. Stephen A. Smith, the night that Francis won the world championship, said this is the biggest thing that has ever happened to the UFC. I saw it the same way. Now, not today. Not the biggest thing has happened. Not somebody just passed up Conor. What's going to happen and the potential and the opportunity, as big of a deal as Francis is, and he's big. Francis has 4 mega fights right now. There's nobody else you could say that about. You could bring Khabib back out of retirement. You could not give 4. Francis has 4 right now that you play in any way you want. And they are going to be massive. And the only difference that 2, 3, and 4 have over the one that goes first is they are going to then be bigger. And that's what I'm trying to speak of. This is what Francis is missing. It's what his team is missing. And when I look at him with an envy. But I speak to him critically. I feel he is playing checkers when he should be playing chess. I feel that if he could see 2 and 3, if he could stand back and see the big picture, and this is for his whole team, I think that Francis is easily influenced. I think that he trusts his inner circle. Quite frankly, if you look at his story and what these guys have done, man, they're wild successes, but they're still missing this. Got plenty of compliments I can give them. Given the one critique, which is, look at the big picture. So many fighters will do this. Almost all. Nothing unique about what Francis is doing. It would just be better if he did it another way. Let me back up, okay? I've jumped around. Let me start putting these pieces together for you guys. What a fighter will do and will always do, it's stopping John Jones. It is the single reason that John is unemployed right now, just to offer a name that you would recognize. But many other fighters do it too that just don't have as recognizable of a name as what is next and what is my participation in that. And what happens if I win? What happens if I don't? Let me make sure I hedge. Let me make sure that it's big enough that if it's one night and it's the last night, that I can go a period of time. This is the way that they think. If they could think differently, which is, as big as Francis is, where Stephen A. Smith, the largest voice that covers our sport, went as far as to say it's the biggest thing that's ever happened to the UFC. Massive statement right there. Not sure he's wrong. So take that and now give him a win over anyone. Now take that and give him 2. Where Francis is going to be, and what I'm envious about, what I look at and go, man, that's cool. You are in a cool spot, is what he can do with 2 more wins. And you got to get that clock started. And I get there's things to think about. I get where it gets complicated, which is, yeah, Chael, we agree with you. We need those 2 wins. Now we got to figure out how the hell we're going to do it. I realize what I'm saying. There's some complications here. What I'm speaking to isn't those complications and those conflicts, trying to be strategic and trying to be smart. What I'm speaking to is I don't believe that that's viewed at all. I don't think there's any consideration given by the strategies of his inner circle for what this is going to be a year from now. Use a very simple example, but you're all very familiar with the money that Conor McGregor made fighting Floyd Mayweather. You're all very aware of the money, because it all comes down to money, right? Money gets awkward and uncomfortable to talk about, but this is what we're talking about. Exactly what we're talking about here. Everything that gets delayed for everything, and everybody that ever says it's not about the money, it's always about the money. Okay, Okay. But you know about Conor and Floyd, but you also know the money that Conor made in the whiskey business. That was public. You knew at one point, you might have forgotten, the $4 million that Conor got from the Wynn Casino to show up and do appearances. It was X amount of time, and they're piggybacking on the UFC, so they're flying him out anyway. Conor's going to be in town, likes to go out, and he just found somebody that's going to give him $4 million to come hang out at their club. None of that had to do with the unified rules inside the octagon. That all had to do with things that happened outside of it. Because of it, for sure, but outside of it. And when I get envious of Francis and close my eyes and just wish, you guys understand, you've done that with plenty of people, maybe do it with friends. I wish that was me. I wish I was in that spot. I wish I had that opportunity. I would give everything back right now just to have your opportunity. Just to be in your age. Physical opportunity, right? Opportunity is wasted until you don't have it. I didn't appreciate my high school career, but boy, I had eligibility. Freshman through senior year, they were letting me compete my NCAA eligibility. When you run out, then that's when you really start to value it. I look at what Francis has. What Francis can do, what Francis will do, this will happen. I am right. With 2 wins. My goodness. Having to talk about Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury. Burying the money of Conor versus Floyd is very realistic. As much of a dream, as much of a pipe dream and silliness of what I just said, that is very realistic with 2 wins. The doors that would be open for Francis Ngannou, the things that he has not accomplished, set different goals. You now need to have a goal somewhere that they build a stadium for you. You have to. You don't have a choice. They did it for Khabib. Anybody in your sport comes along and does it, you now say, oh, wait a minute, now I got to do everything he did. How many t-shirts did that guy sell? Okay, I got to sell more. How many tickets did he sell? Okay, I'm going to sell more. How many times did he defend? I'm going to defend more. As soon as one guy got to be champ, now there's a champ, and Henry Cejudo was talking about champ. Conor McGregor's talking about champ, but that's how it works. It's called competition. You get competitive. And if you overthink your career, if you go paralysis by analysis, not only do you get past, you get forgotten, you get older and you get opportunities missed, you stay unemployed. The opportunities that can come from the octagon are incumbent on you and your management team. The octagon will create opportunity, create an incredible living, create an incredible life. It'll create a dream come true. The opportunities that you take from there, that's where the strategies start coming in. Stephen A. Smith is within his rights to make the bold claim that Francis Ngannou was the greatest thing to ever happen to the UFC. What Stephen A. Smith was not armed with was that Francis was going to hit the emergency brake and stop everything. Stephen didn't know that. He thought he was going to be busy, get back in there, bring in all sorts of guys. He has 4 massive fights right now. Nobody has that. He gets 1 win. Those fights become that much more massive. He gets 2 wins. You are having very real talks of Francis versus Tyson Fury. Francis doesn't need Tyson. Francis will be 2 wins from now. Francis will be on a totally different side. Could be totally different opponents. The point and the idea and the opportunities and the dollars around it all remain the same. But you have to keep that train rolling down the tracks. You have to. People forget quickly. I have spent 7 minutes speaking about Francis to you, and you guys know about Francis. In those 7 minutes, I said something that you knew, but you forgot. You knew that had happened, but you forgot it happened. And to remind you, sport is that way, exponentially, where greatness is something people have to be reminded of often. Don't pull that emergency brake clinging to what's next like a checkers player. Play chess. Francis is going to fight Ciryl Gane. They know each other. They're similar. They both know something inside that they feel about that fight. What's the worst that's going to happen? You need to be able to ask yourself that, but your team needs to have an answer. And if you're coming down to dollars, guys, I'll tell you this right now. This would be quiet. This is something you keep to yourself, but you know it. If our client, Francis Ngannou, goes out there and he drops the strap to Ciryl, our lives do not ruin. We do a rematch. We're the number one contender now instead of the champion. We're going to fight the same guy with the lessons that we learned, but we're going to do it in front of a bigger crowd for more money. As the kids say, it's all good. Everything here is a positive. We can go any direction you want. We just can't pull the emergency brake. We got to move forward.